All right. And it's echoing now, so let me fix that. All right, peace, everyone. This is your girl, Belle Thanos. I'm here with my sister. That militant Black Buddha, also known as Lucretia, who's a lovely member of the BAIO, and we are discussing today interior design. And how it fits within our spectrum of nation building. A few weeks ago, Holup and the guys did a show on land acquisition and went through that whole process. So this is kind of like a follow-up for that particular one. So, but yeah, so today we're going to talk about that. All right, sis, you can introduce yourself and take it away.
Hello again, it's me, the militant Black Buddha, Lucretia or Tony for others who can't remember that, but I'm here to help you guys answer some questions that you might have. I'll do the best that I can, considering my position or in my career at this particular point in my life. I wasn't able to pursue interior design the way I wanted to when I first got my degree, because when I got my degree, it was the economy crashed right after. So it was like 2006 when I graduated. First industry to feel it is, construction and design when an economy is about to drop. So I suffered from that a little bit. I did have a couple of jobs as an interior designer, working under other interior designers or specific jobs that require interior designers. Like I had a couple of those.
Okay.
But after my last job with this lady who owned her own interior design business, I decided I needed to branch out and do my own thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. What motivated you to go into it?
Into interior design?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that comes from childhood. Living in Chicago, it's a really stupid story, but as a kid, there was this girl in the neighborhood that used to she kind of took me and my sister under her wing. I don't know what that was about, but she would come get us every now and again and take us places and stuff on the bus and things like that. So at one point, we were riding the L train downtown Chicago, and it's up in the air. So I'm looking as a little girl onto the sidewalk as people are walking by, but I'm also noticing that there are a lot of people laying around sleeping, or it looked really like they didn't have a place to go. So I was crying. I ended up starting to cry, and the babysitter, she caught it. And she was like, "What's going on with you?" I'm like, "Why are these people walking past all those dead people down there?" Because I thought the people were dead. This is a child's brain. But at that point, I think I started asking her questions about it, and she said, "Well, they're not dead. They're just homeless. They don't have anywhere to go." And that left me concerned. As a kid, and it's always been an issue for me because, living in Chicago and having to walk past homelessness all the time, and then becoming a veteran myself and having to experience it myself as well. That ambition that I had as a little kid, seeing homeless people just made me want to get into architecture, because I felt like it's something that I could do to possibly help these people have a place to go. So that was the initial thought process behind becoming an interior designer. It was originally architecture, but I'm one of those people. Although I'm really good at math, I hate it. And architecture requires a hell of a lot more math than what interior design requires. So.
Okay. So you took a liking more to interior design?
Well, I take a liking to both, but for me to pursue architecture, it meant putting myself in a position to struggle when it comes to math. I mean, like I said, I'm good at it, but because I got good grades in math. Math is not my subject. It's just not.
Not mine either, but
it's just not my subject. So.
Well, no, that's cool. So, you mentioned just before we got on that, you've been out of it for a little bit, practicing within interior design, but recently, you started getting a little bit more back into it.
Yes, because I think I suffer from a triple-edged sword when it comes to being who I am, or being Black, being a woman, and I guess the third strike would be a veteran. And being a veteran, that puts me at the bottom, period. Being African American and a woman. But the experiences since I've been out of the military has been trying at most, especially career-wise. So I recently decided that I wanted to pick it back up because I'm not successful working for others.
That's nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
So because I'm not successful working for others, I already have a degree in something that can be lucrative if I work it right. So that was my initial desire here recently in the last couple of years to, start working on trying to build an interior design business of my own, even if it means doing small stuff here and there for people in the beginning. Right. And so I just actually became free to do those types of things. But then I encountered the BAIO, and with everything going on here in this country, I don't know that I want to put that much effort in trying to struggle to become successful here in that kind of way. And the BAIO is actually making me want to kind of use my skills for helping us.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly what we want you to do, is to help us use the skills for us. So, have you done more with it since joining the BAIO, or looked into looked into the details more about how to go about doing that on the continent or something? Or
I actually, because of the questions that you raised to me the other day, I actually just decided to start looking into Africa to see what was available. But I also recently started looking at trying to figure out how to get some continuing courses for myself so that I could update myself on some of the things that I may be behind on with reference to my knowledge.
Okay.
On, the elements that's out there for me to create and design the way that I would like to.
Just so people know, and peace, Dundada, peace everyone else who's listening. But just so we know, in terms of if someone wanted to get into an interior designing career, do they have to get a degree, or can they get away without it? Because I didn't even realize you could get a degree in it, but maybe I'm confusing it with an interior decorator, which I know is different. But yeah, is there any particular special certifications that's required, or?
Yes. School. You do have to go to school to become an interior designer. You have to get a degree, and then you also have to become licensed.
Okay.
It is definitely something that is not something to just blink your eye at. It's definitely not. But interior decorators are different from interior designers in that anybody can do it. I mean, you could wake up tomorrow and be an interior decorator.
Right, because interior decorators, they do more of the finishing touches they focus on, but interior designers focus more on a macro view of, the household. So you guys care about down to the paint on the walls, or where a door is, or where a window is.
We would go all the way through. We would do everything from the gut of a building all the way out to what a decorator would do. We can do everything a decorator does and more architect does.
Okay, so getting into that, when they did the show on land acquisition, Dundada walked all of us through the process up into the end. Do you recall that? I can try to pull that up again, but do you come in at the end and take over from there, or do you work directly with the architect from the part where they're building, even from the foundation, and then go?
Most interior designers that work for an architectural firm, and most architectural firms do have interior designers working under them, because once the outside structure and the base of the interior structure is done, that it requires an interior designer to come in and build it out from there.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you really work really close with all of them and picking out colors and where everything is going to go, down to where windows are located, doors, and all that stuff.
windows, walls, plumbing fixtures within the walls, electrical sockets on the walls, windows, doors, anything requiring you to walk through a threshold to get inside of something, we do.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, Dundada just said it, the design team. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
like you're one of the key members on that. I wonder if we have any other interior designers in our group in the group. I know Holub did start an interior design group. Did you see it?
No, I missed that.
Okay, I want to say it's like you got to go through a couple of pages till you see it, but he definitely started. I think it's architect and interior design.
Oh no, I did join that. I did.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because it's like we're gonna have to form a design team group to get everybody together because it seems like you work with a lot of parties and details. Now, have you, since joining the BAIO, have you had any ideas of what your view is about, Afghanistan and particular buildings and how they're built and what you would like to add to it? We would love to know if anything is mine.
My biggest thought and my biggest and most pressing thought is that we definitely should think about sustainable building.
Okay.
Building green.
Why is that? Go ahead.
Say that again.
Oh, why is that? Can you say a little bit more?
I just feel like I think preserving the earth as much as possible is important. I think that when we place ourselves inside of an area, we need to be respectful of it in that sense. And that includes building structures.
Right. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's cool with that. We don't want to go and
that's the biggest thing that I would say. I mean, everything needs to be off the grid with regard to even electricity and things like that. And I did see that was it Holla that had a question about the voltaic
the
glass.
what's the class? I don't know. When was this question on the site?
I think you sent it to me. You asked me about it, the voltaic glass.
Oh no, that was Neo. I think Neo asked that. Yeah. You can get into that if you want. There is so far above my.
Well, it's really is glass that turns I guess sunlight into electricity for a very general and raw uncut version of what it is. It just enables the conversion of light into electricity. That's what photovoltaic glass is, which is actually pretty interesting because it does a lot of things with regard to saving energy, even when it comes to air conditioning. It keeps the places a lot cooler.
When it in terms of cost, is it less?
To build it, is that what you're asking?
Or even to build it and to have it in the property like long term. People just want to avoid a high electricity bill, or using a.
I could probably guarantee you that using that particular glass would definitely, even if I'm not quite sure how much it would cost to put.
Right.
All of that is equated to how big the structure is, how many windows there are. It's a lot that goes into what the cost would be. But on top of that, knowing how much it costs specifically for photovoltaic glass, I don't know that specifically, but I can probably guarantee you that because of its purpose, it will probably be more beneficial in the long run as far as like savings on dollars and money.
Okay. Okay, so then that works. Let me see here. If anyone has a question? No, Dundada just said things that leave less of a footprint of us living in the area. So that's basically agreeing with what you were saying.
Yes.
So that's perfect. So
Believe it.
guys, peace, guys. If you just joined us, I'm talking to one of our sisters, Militant Black Buddha. She's typically here in the chats and done a few shows with her in the past. She's an interior designer, and we wanted to kind of do a follow-up video to when the guys did the land acquisition video, because that went into so much detail. And then, you know, when with doing what she does, we realized that she was actually a key part of that process. So, which we definitely got to get sent you the link to get you in the STEM group too.
I'm in that.
Even in our page. Okay. Even in our Facebook page, I have to. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. You gave me your page.
I
So
did.
just so you keep up with what we're talking about. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about is just interior designing and how it works in terms of after the land acquisition and building process and getting everything into place, the part that she plays in that role and what she can add. So yeah, so anything else you want to add to that? I waiting for them to ask any questions. So far, not many, but I'm guessing because people are probably like me, they don't know too much about the topic.
Yeah. I don't know how much I can add with regard to that. I feel like I'd be better versed by just answering questions because my thoughts about what's going on, like I said, is limited to just what I said about the building green or sustainable. That is probably going to be the wisest decision we could ever make um, when it comes to building a nation of our own.
Okay. And I definitely don't disagree with you on that one. So that sounds good. I asked just before we started the stream, what have you thought of any African designs as of yet? Were you into that prior to joining the BAIO and kind of like how African design can work into it?
I sure was not into it before coming in contact with the BAIO, but the BAIO has definitely inspired me to start doing research on that. Actually, subscribe to architectural magazine here in Africa. So, I'm
Say it again. It kind of went low there. You subscribe to what?
an architectural and interior design magazine.
Oh, okay. In Africa?
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm looking through it. I'm definitely
Okay, that's great.
inspired by some of the stuff I saw, though. Definitely. So I just got to get myself back into visualizing and seeing things architecturally and interior design wise to get inspired.
Okay, great. Then Dada did have a question. He said, what would be her ideal design for single family homes?
And what do you mean? What does he mean by ideal design?
I guess I'm guessing would it be like assuming that everybody's house looked the same?
Oh no, I'm not.
And or you want something different for?
I think that when it comes to personal property, now I don't know what our process is going to be with regard to once we get the people together to go to Africa to start building. I don't know what the process would be, but I think that if we start out just to get there and get some things up so that people that came to start building will have places to stay, I don't see anything wrong with that, with those places being cookie cutter.
Okay, like a basic concept. That's what he just
Just
said.
a basic small concept for something quick or whatever, so that we can get as many people there to start building and making it grow. But personally, no, I don't think that they all have to be the same or look the same. I think that each family or each person should be able to have their own, I guess, input or concepts with regard to what they like and what they don't like. And
that's going to be a lot of work on the contractors. You have everyone giving their personal choice.
That is. I think that will all work itself out in the sense that I don't know. I guess if you think about building communities,
right? Yeah, let's start with like a community kind of.
similar designs, but not necessarily. I don't know for some, and you got to excuse the project in me, but the minute I start seeing cookie cutter houses or houses that look exactly alike, I start getting flashbacks from the project. I really do, and that's no. I just start thinking about everybody is yeah. I would rather it be different, but there is a way to make it similar and not necessarily exactly cookie cutter, because no family is the same size. So if you think about it in that aspect, when you're building a community, you could probably do most of the houses similar. It's just that if you're talking about a family of 2 versus a family of 6 or 5, then their house will probably look different than the people's homes who have just 2 people. You know what I mean?
Okay. What are when it comes to building? What? All right, hold on, guys. Okay, can you guys still hear me? Let me know because I put my volume down a little bit.
What happened?
Oh no, it's just like you can probably hear me fine, but I'm not sure in the chat because I was echoing for a second there. I don't know where that came from. But guys, let me know if you still hear me or if you don't. Press 1 if you still hear me. Dendata just said, he said, I would like to sit down and talk to her about this. I have a few ideas I would like to run by her. So that's good.
Perfectly.
That's fair.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, yeah, for
Feel him
sure,
myself
Dendata.
So,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I would love that. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, good. My particular question was when it comes to like the new different building materials, like people are doing so many different things now, like there's prefabricated homes with the 3D print, and then there's container homes. Have you looked into that or even thought about those? Because some people have like all these different ideas of what they would want. And it could include some of these materials that's available out there.
I think prefabricated homes would be nice for the beginning. When people start going,
Right. It'll be
start building, I think that would be an interesting or easy way to get stuff up quick so that we could start bringing people in. I think that's an interesting idea.
yeah, that'll work out fast. Well, what about containers homes?
I'm not familiar with this the container homes. I'm not familiar with that one yet. I have to understand what that is.
Okay, I'll send you some pictures. Yeah, it's like it's a pretty new trend. I know they're doing it a lot in Texas. Usually they start with just one very small container, those big steel containers, the shipping containers. Yeah, and then they're using several of those to kind of like design their house, supposed to make it a little bit more efficient.
I pulled
But
them.
yeah, I mean they have a pretty cool design, so is the
Container
different
home.
kind of to work with.
Pros and cons.
Okay.
Look, I already pulled up some. Pros and cons on container homes. Container homes. That's what I thought. It sounded like a shipping container.
Yeah, shipping.
They look like shipping containers. Okay. I'm looking at them now and it's like, oh my gosh, really? Yeah, they look like shipping containers. But if you got a good designer, you could probably pretty that up in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Pros, prefabricated, transport and siting, predictable costs, and recycling. So, I mean, it's good and sustainable with regard to that. The con is not effective recycling. They say that most factory-built container homes are built from one-use containers that only have a single trip. There are structural issues. And I guess the question is, what was in that container before? Space and shape is an issue and not great insulation. So it would definitely have to be insulated, because the way it looks as if they're really just shipping containers, metal shipping containers, and those don't have insulation in them. So you'd have to build out from the inside. I mean, yeah, out in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insulated.
So actually, Dendata just said something. There's a Black couple that have a project going in Wisconsin, very successful and cost a fraction of the price to get going. I'm not sure if he's referring to shipping containers, but I know shipping containers, people are getting into it now because it is so cheap.
If you think about it, the process is easy for me to start working in my mind. I can see how it is much cheaper, and even with the fact that they're not insulated, that part of construction, we're getting into the final steps. If we were thinking about comparing a container home to building from the ground up, that's a whole lot less material, a whole lot less, just to have to build out walls on the inside so that the place is insulated. Some of the container homes that I'm looking at right now, a lot of them, they actually started out with a container, but then they built onto those containers in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Okay, yeah, and then Dada just said, he said, yes, you have to fabricate them to standards. The idea came from the military.
That makes sense. It looks like it. That looks like something they'll come up with, or will come up.
Well, now people think them, all fashionable and add different designs and different colors, and get a good welder to put everything else together. Sometimes they're taking out the standard doors in the container and putting glass doors. I've seen some pretty interesting design with the shipping container. I have to say good, but yeah, like if you look at the big projects, like they look really good, but it's just like, damn, I don't know what kind of work it took to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the welding is having one of those is like, you got to be pretty talented. So that's definitely an idea that some will, probably throw in your direction. What other questions we have here?
Wow.
All right, so. But in terms of, like, other projects, you talked a little bit about prefabricated homes and how that could work for the initial phase. I guess just to give the people who are initially working there housing and what they need and everything just to get the job done. And then from there, you can expand out to do individual homes and designs. And I guess we have to figure out how to organize that. Like if people, or if we're going to do well, how much building is done first, like if we're going to start with people choosing their individual design for their homes, or build like just large community where all the houses are not exactly cookie cutter the same, like you said, like may look the same on the outside, but maybe some differences that make it, unique to itself. Like I'm not sure if it's going to be like that, or that's definitely something we can talk about and think about for everyone in the chat and everything, like how you guys want it done. I guess also really important to know is the terrain, the surrounding terrain, the environment, like what's the level of humidity, if there is any, is there risk of flooding there, or is there like a dry season, and like again, really can help decide what materials to work with.
Right, to keep it environmentally sound, and respectful in a certain sense, for lack of better words, because you want to embrace the environment around us as well.
Mudslides, definitely consider. But yeah, I mean, when we think of these, it's like you want the property to, or to complement the environment, or vice versa.
Exactly.
Just to, like, it kind of blends in. And hoping like we're really hoping like you're gonna come up with some really nice designs for us to work with. Because me personally, I'm not really creative artistically, but you put something in front of me that looks really good, and I'm like, okay, that's good. I'll go with that. It's easy. I don't have to think about it too much. It's functional, which is enough. making things functional. How difficult can that be if you don't have, like the right materials to work with, or appliances or such? Like what? God, I almost had a brain for it. What was I trying to say? Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, it completely slipped my mind. The word was there. But making it, how when you're making it, trying to make it functional, because I really like function, but also like things to be very, like, just look comfortable and welcoming and all that stuff. Although I don't really like my place, so I'm not sure why I went at welcoming.
Oh my
Only
God.
you guys, it'll be different. You guys, it'll be different. I like you guys. So,
Oh my God.
but sure it's functional. How difficult can that be? Like hell, even putting Afghanistan to the side for a moment, how difficult can it be to make things functional and also still look very aesthetically pleasing?
Well, that difficulty, I don't know if
That's probably a broad question. I guess
it is to a
is
certain
it easy?
extent. Say that again.
It is so possible to make it easier, but with the choices, if someone's giving you like a lot of things to choose from in terms of what they want, like, is it possible it gets to a point where you're like, okay, none of this is functional, so it's just all a bunch of stuff. So we need to figure out how you're gonna make this an actual living space. Like, you
Um,
get what I'm saying?
yeah. Um, it's I think that as long as the money and the resources to make those things happen or become functional in some kind of way, it shouldn't be hard. Especially if you're dealing with people like myself who should know what what they're doing. Um, yeah, that's not. It may some things may prove challenging, depending upon whatever things we encounter or uh, come across while we're in the phase of construction or what have you. But I don't believe that there shouldn't be anything that cannot be overcome. So
Okay. No, no, that sounds good. So basically, like, you're pretty good with kind of problem solving your way out of this, because this is exactly what we need.
well,
Kind
that's
of
what an
figuring out like
interior designer does. I mean, it's the same with an
a
architect. We problem solve to get to an end result that everybody is happy with. Basically, yeah, it is problem
okay.
solving regardless.
Okay, perfect. I'm like, all right, good. So just so we know. All
Mhm.
right. Let's see. Any other questions? I don't want to cut this short, but if you guys got any questions, feel free to ask it now.
I'm like literally seeing some cute stuff here.
Nothing as of yet, but we'll just keep chatting until they
So they
get
have
into it. So,
so my research because some you sent me a couple of questions. Um,
oh yeah, I'm trying to find those again.
okay,
Oh
well,
my God, Neil,
there
detail.
was wait, where is it? I have them asked for it. And I'm also not wearing my glasses while I talk to you. So, after the photo
That makes it so
call to class,
easier.
there was the question. Somebody asked about the importance of African-centered design elements, and then I feel like there was another one that I didn't touch on yet.
I want to say it was at LEED.
Oh yeah, the lead. But lead is just they actually, what do they do? They're like lead is like leadership energy environmental design. They rate the system. They're the rating system for green building. Is basically what lead is. Um,
Okay, okay.
yeah, they.
So I do have a question from Kofi.
Mhm.
He says, have y'all ever heard of Primitive Technology Channel? He uses mud, fire, sticks, wood, water, and wife life to build a tiny village. I mean, just in case the ships don't bring the material, we could resort to primitive technology. So, and then, then I had this. I'll let you think about that question. But basically, using the environment and everything to build something. So I guess basically protection, building some enclosure that can provide us with the basics. If say worst case scenario, materials are not available. This is really worst case scenario, using the wildlife to do it.
I have to look into primitive technology. That is really kind of some interesting terms, but I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm gonna see.
Yeah, the wife life. I was like, wait, what? But then Dada had a question. What app do you use for your design? He currently has a SketchUp on his laptop. Yeah, what good apps are there for design? We were talking about that.
I've been looking for probably a couple of years now for a good app for that, because I don't have AutoCAD and I actually need AutoCAD. The problem is I can't afford AutoCAD, and that's what I actually prefer. I love AutoCAD, and
for those kind of apps.
Mm-hmm.
What's those kind of apps? I'm just curious for that kind of software.
What are you asking me?
Oh, what's the standard price for like design software?
AutoCAD is almost $5,000.
Jeez, that's way more than what. Because Calla brought up one called City Engine.
I saw that.
And
I saw that on
that
the
was 500. Okay.
I saw that, and I thought I made a comment on it, but I did see it, and I looked into it. It's very interesting, but I think I need to study that a little bit more, because I feel like it was coming across as something for gaming, and I was trying to make sure that it was more than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is interesting because it does seem like something that could be used. I've never heard of it, so I'd have to look into that a whole lot more. I'm just a lot more comfortable with AutoCAD because that's where my training came from. I mean, outside of doing hand drafting myself, because we were trained in that as well, so I have to know how to draft by hand anyway. So I would probably start out raw, but and I'm calling hand drafting raw. But AutoCAD is my favorite because it's all computer aided drafting, and I really love that program. It's just that it's so freaking expensive.
Oh my God, they knew.
I know any architects, so I can have them dub me a copy because that's expensive.
Yeah, $5,000. Jeez, I didn't know software went that high up in price. I had no idea.
Yeah, AutoCAD definitely is expensive. Definitely.
So I gave one. He said SketchUp does everything AutoCAD do. You can import it to AutoCAD.
Oh yeah, SketchUp. I'm writing it down.
Yeah. But you said from what you looked at, huh?
Go ahead.
Oh no. Is the name of it. But no, I was just saying, you said when you looked at City Engine, that one looked like it was more related to gaming.
Well, it gave me the impression that it came out of gaming and can be used in gaming to build cities and towns. So I need to read a little bit more about it to fully understand whether it really is just for that or if it's something that people in my profession are actually using to
actually build. I think then he said it's made by Google. I think he's referring to SketchUp, which actually that's what I was told with City Engine. You can upload Google Maps into it, like pick a location on actual Google Maps, an actual physical location, and start building in that particular spot. Which then Dada, can you let us know if SketchUp does the same thing? And for it too, if you know, because AutoCAD is ridiculous. I had no idea software can go up to $5,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, coffee.
AutoCAD is definitely,
AutoCAD
but it's
iPhone is free.
well. The thing is, I actually have AutoCAD app on my phone. I've not specifically used it. I without even using it, I probably can guarantee that it does not do everything that the actual software does. So that's the only issue that I think I'm gonna run across when it comes to using apps or things similar or
Okay.
offshoots from AutoCAD because they don't. I don't think you can actually compare anything else to AutoCAD to me. But
Okay. Fair. I mean,
I haven't been out there like I should.
well, I mean, your
Name
professional in your comfort zone, no one's going to ask you to step out of that to, to do something else. If you can work with that, then by all means you should. Um, it's just something to put away. Any other questions, guys? We talked a little bit about working with different materials. And let's see what Dude says. Most times anything cheap or available to the general public is not up to professional standards.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not
That is
up to
true.
what we would use as professional. Um, it's just that for a professional software, it's just so expensive. Architects probably
Right.
can afford it with no problem, but an interior designer definitely struggles for that one. Um,
Mm.
that was
Would you have
expensive.
any architects in the, are there any other people in that group with you? I know you said you joined the architecture and interior design group.
When I
Were
joined,
you the,
no, when I joined, I did see that there was one other person in there. It's a guy, and I can't remember his name at all. But I believe I introduced myself or what have you. But I have not heard anything back from anybody. I haven't noticed that anybody else has joined besides myself and him. And I think he's an architect.
okay. Okay, so we definitely, all of my STEM people in the chat, we definitely got to do another show on this with adding people like, Dindada, the architect, my sister over here for interior design to really kind of hash out the details where they can really talk about these things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions, throw them in there. Let's see. The woman says security is a throw it in and think they are protected. Okay, he's talking about a particular security system. So the city builder probably allows people to get their rocks off, but is insufficient for world-class professionals.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think.
all right. So,
But I'll have to
so
have to read it because it sounded very interesting. I just had to get past. I had to get my mind past what I think it was trying to say, and so that required me to read a little bit more on it and research a little bit more on it because it sounds interesting, but it sounds like it's for gaming.
okay, look into in more detail. So that we can agree with. Kofi says then it's $4.99 a month. I think he's still talking about the app on the phone.
Was $4.99 a month the SketchUp?
No, not SketchUp.
No,
I think the app
Kofi said something else, didn't he?
app on the phone. But SketchUp, Dundada, can you tell us how much that costs if you know? Also, I'm going to give you before we get off this live stream. I'm gonna give you Dundada's info because he really wants to get some information and share some information with you.
Okay, awesome.
So share that before even when we did when you jumped in the chat and the land acquisition video.
Mm-hmm.
So people, if you just joined us, we were talking a little bit about kind of getting there, what to start with. She mentioned that what did you say? The voltage. What was it? The voltage. Yeah, I have I just heard voltage.
It is photovoltaic glass. I get tongue trying to say it, but it's photovoltaic.
Well, energy efficient.
Yes, extremely energy efficient. PV glass is actually what they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's extremely efficient.
Okay. And we said a little bit like initially prefabricated homes would be the best to start off with for whatever initial group gets there, start building first, the initial team. And then from there, working on people's individual homes and housing and everything, how they want it. Yeah, would be.
I would think that it would go in phases, because it's not like we're coming over there by the millions right now. So we have to have homes, a whole community built up before we get there. We have to get there first to start building the communities. So for the people who come there first, I would think the first phase would be housing us and making sure we have sustainable places to stay and hopefully close to where we're going to be starting or building. So I think that the prefabricated homes actually would be ideal for that, because then we're not working hard when we first get there just to satisfy ourselves so that we can continue moving forward. We could just toss those up, for lack of a better. We can toss those prefabs up real quick and get busy.
Right.
Start working.
Yeah. Culture. That's shelter, like the basics.
Mm-hmm.
The SketchUp is free, but you can upgrade to the Pro version for $200.
Oh wow! Okay, I'm gonna have to check this
and Builder, which is City Engine, is world-class software. He does agree that AutoCAD is the best, which is the one that you're used to working
with. Yeah. When I say I love AutoCAD, I love AutoCAD. I really truly miss it. Like, I don't know if you're supposed to be able to crave stuff like that, but I really crave AutoCAD because I have some, even from my school projects, I have some school projects that I, never got a chance to completely, fully build all the way out. And because I don't have AutoCAD, I couldn't finish them. One being a restaurant that I had interest in, and I had a booth design that I never got to draw out in AutoCAD. So I really wanted AutoCAD for that reason. And so that I could start
it's
here building a bit
doable to get, but it's that price is just like, geez. Yeah. So that's something for them to
wish I was a student again, because when I was a student, I was able to get it for dirty cheap. You can get the student version cheap, but that's a killer.
And, same thing I was saying earlier. He said the thing is to be able to upload Google Earth and carve out a territory for development, which I don't know if you can do on AutoCAD. I'd imagine you can do a lot on that if they're charging that damn price. But so I don't know if you've ever done that on that software, uploading Google Earth maps to kind of pinpoint a location and build in that location to get a good visual of what things would look like. I think that's what the point he was trying to make.
Okay, so that part, no, I've never done, but I could definitely see an architect needing to do that.
All right. So, Callie, you just jumped in. We've talked a little bit about City Engine. She's going to look into it a little bit more. She wanted to just be sure it wasn't something more so for gaming, because that's what it was kind of looking like a gaming software. But she also said she didn't look into it in all that much detail. So she looked into it a little bit more and see. But yes, AutoCAD is the software she was comfortable with working with and used. He says, but all we need is to be able to do our own sketches, and the contractors will use the actual software. Okay. Well, and this is where she comes in, because she's the interior designer.
Yeah, I work with contractors.
Yeah, she'll work with the contractor.
The way that it goes is that the architect and the interior designer, when we draw up our floor plans, I would draw up floor plans. The architect, when he draws up his plans for his building or what have you, or if I draw up floor plans for an interior structure, most times we petition for general contractors to bid on the projects. And they bid on those projects, and based on the bid that they offer, we choose whichever one we're going to go with to start building out from there. But they have to read our plans.
Okay. So going off you and the architect plans, that's what the contractors work with. So you guys work with.
Now, if he needed to correct us on something, I'm pretty sure he'd be able to give that input, because general contractors also have to understand architectural drafting and like that too.
Okay. Have you had the chance to really think of, I know Dundada asked earlier, single family homes, but even different kind of homes or just particular buildings, or were you just focusing on the initial step? Because I know we always say don't put the cart before the horse, but then it's kind of hard to not think that far ahead. But it sounds like you've been thinking of just the initial steps first.
Yeah,
And then
because
think we
it's kind
can.
of hard to see anything. I don't want to say it's hard to see. It's not hard to see. I can visualize any structure I want to visualize, but it still has to have a beginning. And once you get the beginning, that usually comes from the people who are going to actually have something to do with these structures. So once the structures, um, even with building the structures themselves, I mean, the architect still needs to, the clients, and when I say clients, I'm going to say us as the Black community, or the BAIO, whatever nation we're going to be building. I will call us the clients. People are going to be actually living in these places. But the architect's job and the interior designer's job is to give them what they visualize. You see what I'm saying? Now,
Right.
architects may have more control over what is going on, because some architects build buildings just for themselves, to have some property or whatever. But most of the time, we are satisfying a need of somebody else's. So the end result of what something is going to look like is going to be determined by the people we're satisfying
Okay.
to a certain degree.
All right. So I think Kala just said it. We have to have our master plan. Dundada said, but it have to be approved by the engineer. I think going back to when you're talking about you and the architect working together and the contractor coming in, and the engineer he has to approve it after you guys come up with it to make sure it's like safe and feasible, and things don't just fall apart.
Right.
And then a contract together. Okay. So Cal said, and the feasibility study.
And see, I think the final result, when you're speaking about what it's going to look like in the end, when it comes to the houses and things like that, I think the end result would definitely have to be a consensus on all of our ideas of what our plans are and what we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
For the basic understanding of what it would look like.
So how do you work with, this is for me personally, when it comes to like building medical facilities, those kind of interior details are going to have to be really specific, and like have rooms and have certain accommodations just to make sure that people, of course, their life is in danger. Do you work with that a lot, or to make sure, or those kind of heavy details?
Well, I've been trained to.
Okay, lovely.
Because what the school that I went to, we did not just do residential design, we did commercial design too. So, and it focused a lot on commercial design more so than residential.
Okay.
So I have, and then I also purposely focused some of my stuff on that type of stuff as well, because a couple of electives that I took was in the commercial arena. I said I needed to get AutoCAD for that restaurant that I didn't finish, but yeah, I could do both. I mean, I can do any. I'm not intimidated by the idea of doing any of those, be it residential or commercial.
I said 1 hospital per 20 square miles and clinics. Yes. Yeah, that's going to take a lot of details. I mean, we'll start with an immediate clinic first and then expand from there, getting into the hospitals and everything. But I just need an immediate medical facility for just like the basics to make sure that all acute cases can be managed. Dada says, yeah, some designs are a challenge. That's why you have to revisit until you come up with an approved design. And he's just like, we're going to talk. So we got Dada really excited. So I'm happy about this. Good. More conversation.
In my end of the spectrum, so if like the architect builds the structure, my interior has to reflect that out in that outer structure. Like the inside has to make sense with what the outside looks like. So,
Okay.
Whatever the architect puts up or builds on a piece of land or what have you, when I come inside to start building out from the guts all the way out, it needs to be complementary to what the outside structure is. So, yeah.
Just comment sewage and canal systems with an anti-cholera system, which that's going to be waste management, which I don't think you do anything with that, right? In terms of designing that, like waste management, I guess that's a commercial facility, but those are typically like not enclosed in a particular, like a specific building. Well, not the ones that I see out here in Alaska, but so. But he's talking about waste management system.
If they have facilities for the workers to go to, I would have everything to do with
that. Okay. Dendata asked, he said she's in Augusta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Augusta,
yes. Yes, she is. And Cal said that's civil engineering. Yes, that's what I expect. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit more detailed. Yeah. But any other questions, guys? While I have her here, she is the interior designer in the interior design group. And you guys have definitely put her to work. Thank you, BAIO. You put all of us to work. I'm like, I've been studying so much more.
I love it because it's forcing me to do a little bit more than I think I can do right now, given the things on my plate. But it's putting me in a position to be able to, I guess, spark that energy that I had for interior design in the beginning anyway. And it's pushing me to do some, put myself out there and learn some things that I didn't know or haven't learned since I've been out of the bubble of interior design.
Okay, so lovely.
Appreciate it.
No, like it's done the same for me. I have to say, I definitely appreciate this organization for doing that, because since I've joined, I'm like, well, one, I've been busy with my regular work, but I've been doing so much more research and studying, trying to make sure I understand what the health systems are over there, and what. And me and Cal was talking a little bit yesterday about what's the best way we can get what we can work for us. What's the best kind of medical system we can get done for us? But just kind of learning up all on medical finance and management and everything, because I just do mostly clinical. And when you study medicine, they don't teach you any of the business end in school. It's all clinical, and it's like they just throw you out there. So the business end, you either get additional degrees or you just learn. You just live and learn from that. So you guys definitely have motivated me to read up more and take more free online courses that one of our sisters from South Carolina posted. I posted them in an education group, like all these free online courses, and they actually go into a lot of design software, of course not AutoCAD, but they go into other stuff, maybe more cheaper, that you can't do as much with. But definitely, I've loved it ever since. It's keeping me busy, and I've been trying to stay focused on just medicine, because I hear what you guys talking about, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to learn about this, and then I see a free class for it, then I want to do it. But my lovely brother Dundada told me stop doing that. Just focus on what I do, just so don't know a little bit of everything. I don't want to be you end up
on the business end of what you do, so you can get you a business established down there.
But yeah, business established, and then of course, making sure everyone else's health and everything is safe, and everyone is healthy, and everyone has all the things they need. Like I'm like, I really do want to focus on that, and that's what I try to focus on. But it's exciting hearing from what everyone else does. I'm like, oh, it's so exciting. It's hard to not want to take a look at it, but no, I definitely want to understand what's going on there. Right. So it's definitely been motivating, learning more with the BAIO. Let's see, any other questions? Let's see, they're talking a little bit more about waste management. That works. Okay, anything else? What happened?
We don't have anybody in waste management in the BAIO?
That's specifically civil engineering, I think Kala said. And one of the sisters, I think Akachi, or I Am Lucy. She works in, I thought she works in like medical laboratory, but I know she had an idea of, she also works with a chemist who wanted to use waste as fuel, just
Oh,
trash, like burning trash and everything into fuel. So
mhm.
that is important. So the chemists, I don't know who they are though, and in what group they are. I
Okay.
hope they join a damn group so we can get that together. But yeah,
Mhm.
I think that is a little bit more civil engineering.
Mhm.
What else? I feel like I don't know enough about the topic to ask questions, so I don't want to just pull stuff out of ether
That's
air.
okay.
So I'm
Um,
hoping you guys in the chat definitely throw something out there in terms of interior design.
I
Okay,
tried
Kofi
to
said,
go ahead. I
no, no,
tried
no, go ahead. Say what you.
I tried to figure out because there was this one question I think, or somebody wanted me to talk about it, the importance of African-centered design elements, and that's a tough subject with regard to um, explaining the importance of African-centered design outside of putting us on a platform worldwide. I think that's the reason it's important because it gives us a face, for lack of a better phrase or term, when it puts us out there. But they have this movement in Africa. There's this Afrofuturism design
Mm-hmm.
movement going on. Um,
Based off of Black Panther, probably.
um, Actually, a lot of the architects that I've seen in this particular movement, they're African. They come right from in several countries in Africa. The problem that
Right.
I'm
No, that's
finding or running into is that a lot of the stuff that I'm finding is coming, or the architectural stuff that I'm finding is coming out of South Africa. Not that that's necessarily a problem, but it's South Africa that seems to pop up in everything that I've researched so far. Um,
mm,
but I think it's important to put us on a platform with everybody else when it comes to um, interior design and architecture, because nothing African is. Because even when I was in school studying for interior design, we never covered anything African at all. You know, because I had to study design elements and parts of architectural structures and stuff like that. And I don't even think we ever crossed Africa at no point during my studies. So, with regard to that, I think that it's just important in the sense that we put ourselves out there because we do have Black architects, we do have Black interior designers. It's just that I think that we kind of get overlooked or washed out in a certain sense when it comes to that because of our circumstances on this world
right.
globe.
Okay, I do have a question. Wow, that is interesting. I guess we didn't consider that. But because Callis said, he said Cameroon has really good modern African architecture.
Yeah, I've seen some
Um,
amazing stuff. I haven't seen Cameroon yet, but I've seen some amazing stuff just today alone.
where did you where did you see it? When which parts of the continent when
Um,
you took a look? Was it just South Africa you said or
it
other
was South,
places?
most of it was South Africa. I think I seen somebody. Let me see if I can figure out where I found it. I'll tell you in a second. I
Okay,
want.
well while you're looking,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Um, I gotta do that. What I did before.
And he said, how does interior design deal with fire prevention? That is
Um,
important. I don't want my place to burn down.
we have what we call fire rated walls. Um, the last time I had any interaction with it. We do have fire rated walls, like in most you gotta excuse me, I'm searching at the same time. In most commercial, even in maybe even some apartment buildings or what have you, but in most homes or most commercial structures, walls are fire rated. So in a let me see if I can find the best way to explain it. So if a fire was to break out in a room and it starts burning the walls are rated at a certain, and forgive me for not remembering the terminology, but again, that's the reason why I said I need to get into some continuing courses so I can refresh myself and learn what's new. But fire rated walls, in a sense, I guess, basically is a way to the walls burn down at a certain amount of speed. So I guess if you put it on a time lapse, some walls are fire rated or fireproofed, for lack of a better word, more than others. So if a fire started 5 minutes ago, one wall versus a wall that's super fire rated, burning down quicker versus the other one. So those are some of the kind of ways that interior design deals with fires and stuff like that. But not only that, you have to also sprinkler systems and things like that. That's how we deal with that.
Right. I'm familiar. Yeah, most of us are familiar with the sprinkler system. Okay. So Dawood says, okay, oh, that's great. I hope we don't use fiberglass. I hate fiberglass.
So fiberglass sucks. It does.
Here says, have you worked with hempcrete? It's an insulation made out of hemp.
No, I haven't.
Are you familiar with that?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Going
with
back
it. It's
African
natural.
design.
I like it.
Okay. The modern design. Calla said, watch The Last King of Scotland. They did talk there.
Oh, which one? What subject?
For the modern African design architecture, modern African architecture. I mean. Last King of Scotland. Let's see. And Hope said, man, having a show dealing with this subject matter and hosted by sisters is a dream come true. I'm pinching myself. Thank you, Paula. Okay.
Fulfill the dreams while we could.
All right. So the questions, people, I don't want to cut this too short because there's so much information. I just don't know enough about interior design to just go into all these questions. But we did cover quite a bit. I mean, very briefly. It's just going to take a lot of planning, sitting down and really sketching stuff out and getting the architects, the contractors, interior design engineers together to really put their heads together and come up with a game plan of the initial building that's what it would take. So, but she is in the interior design group and architecture group and also Georgia State chapter if you need to find her. I have part 2 or 3 if needed. Not sure which one is that one. Okay. All right. So we're going to cut it short. I don't want to just stretch this out. So let's see.
I'm listening. I'm sorry. I was trying to
No, I know you're looking at stuff. I'm reading the question, but Kofi, you just threw me off. How has illegal immigration changed interior design? Are you referring to like Mexicans coming and building, or?
Oh my gosh, I swear I saw an article I was going to go back to later today that actually touched on something like that. Oh, and I hate that because now I got to figure out how I found it. I swear I just saw an article or somebody did a essay or something on it.
Oh, in regards to the contractors, if they're like unlicensed or licensed.
That too.
Speaking of which, guys, while I have you guys on here, licensed and unlicensed contractors. There's a lot of unlicensed ones.
Oh,
Is it? Are we still? I mean, they probably more than likely still have the skill, but is there any idea of any potential regulations? Just because that's exactly what Kofi was referring to, Mexicans who are great builders. But yeah, so have you worked with unlicensed contractors and felt like a huge difference in sense of like what's okay with the quality of work that was given, or have they, the ones you've worked with, still did their best anyway?
no, I've never worked with
You haven't heard
somebody
that,
like
okay. And
yeah.
Kella said we need people with license and credentials.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have a system in place to confirm all of that too. I mean, we
Um,
do definitely agree with you, but people want to leave and they still have the skill. I guess there's certain projects we can't have them doing. I
yeah,
really don't want an unlicensed contractor building a
they should be
hospital.
able to
That's not
show
gonna.
their licenses now. They should be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely have a system in place to check for those because.
My goal is now to get myself certified, well, licensed, so that I can,
Okay.
because I never
All
got
right, Cal.
licensed.
You never got licensed for interior design?
No. First of all,
Is
it's
it a test?
yes, we have to take a test.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
And it
expensive. And then it's
no, go ahead. I'm leading to, is it national certification or
national.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's national.
Degree, so we'll definitely go for the test. If you need any help from us, we can go from there.
Yeah. I'm gonna take.
Everyone's like, yes, you need to be licensed to work. Calla said they can be labor. If you're unlicensed, you can be labor. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, no, they definitely shouldn't be leading. Hold up, you can ask your question. Don't worry about being redundant because he's in transit, so I guess he wasn't sure if it was going to come in and out. But yes, we definitely need. We don't need Boo Boo the Fool Architect Company.
No, I still can. I can still work. As an interior designer, I can still work. I just cannot. There are certain things legally I can't do or call or say.
Okay.
Because I'm not licensed, but I can still work. Because I mean, it takes a minute to, I think, get licensed, because the exam for interior designers to be licensed is pretty excruciating. And it's expensive on top of that. So most of the entry level interior designers that I know, we all have had jobs as interior designers without licenses. It's just that they don't, I guess the industry really doesn't like for us to say that we're interior designers if we don't have the license, regardless to the fact that we have the degree and everything to show for it. But yeah.
All right, go for it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like if you need help from us, especially from me, I love helping people get prepped for tests because I hate tests. And I have really bad testing anxiety, so help motivate other people to get through it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But Calla said we don't need Boo Boo the Fool Architect Company.
Exactly.
Agree, but okay, they can be labor. I agree with that because let's be honest. Unfortunately, even though there's tons of Black people are, our skill historically has been labor. I'm just afraid we're gonna get quite a few members who really don't have licenses, who've been doing this stuff. Doesn't mean they're bad, but they definitely not licensed to do it. And then thinking like, okay, it's Africa. It really doesn't matter. They don't have all those regulations. Let's go over there and just do whatever. So yeah, this is definitely detail to think about. We want to
avoid. Exactly.
So yes.
That's why I said to you that I have to start out small, doing decorate, small design and decorating jobs and stuff like that that require me to move walls, tear walls down, put walls up. I'm not going to do that without a license. So I'm only going to, for the beginning of my business, I will only be focusing on small projects, things that don't require me having to destroy somebody's home first. So yeah.
No, that wouldn't be cool. I'm actually very pleased to know that you did a lot more focus through your education and personal with commercial property, because commercial buildings, because I actually want those, quite a bit of those, to be, focused. Like our homes, yeah, we'll kind of work with that as time goes along, changes will be made and stuff, but commercial buildings for sure. For different businesses, it's definitely important. And just to kind of get the economy flowing and going and all of that.
Right. That is definitely going to be one of the biggest and most important things to get done first.
And I know we touched a little bit on a different materials, like we said, container homes. You're not too familiar with that. I didn't cover that too much in your schooling and everything, and it's still pretty new in the sense that people are just doing a lot more and more of those. And you did mention prefabricated homes. Is there any other types that you would recommend, even for whether it be commercial or actual living space, residential areas?
I think that as far as commercial, we're definitely going to have to construct from ground up on those. I'm not, unless an architect knows something different than me at this present point, especially an architect that's been in business and still in business today. Because like I said, I graduated in 2006, right? I mean, literally right as the economy was beginning to drop. So even the interior designer that I did work for, she was struggling in her business, but she was making, and she does not have a bachelor's degree like I do. She had a doggone associate's degree. And she was making $500,000 a year in her own business. She ended up having to move into her home because she had a storefront building, because she was selling design accessories and stuff like that for the home outside in her store. Along with doing interior design jobs for her clients and stuff like that. So she was working both sides of it. However, because she only had an associate's degree, and I think that she also was struggling financially because of that associate's degree, because she didn't think it was necessary to have anything higher than that for an interior designer. And I believe that the reason she ended up having to get out of that space and moving her business into her home is because of that very reason. Interior design requires a whole lot, and associate's degree is definitely not getting you anywhere with interior.
Right, because I'm like, she probably wasn't that off from like an interior decorator.
She wasn't.
Probably.
And her stuff is definitely, when I started working for her, it was a struggle for me. Once I started working for her and seeing the work that she produced, it was a struggle for me, because even with me just being a fresh new graduate from interior design school, I look at her projects and I'm like, it's not finished. It needs more. It's just, something's wrong. It's just, I'm not happy with anything that she's produced. And when I found out later that she had an associate's degree, that explained to me why, her projects look the way that they look. So, yeah.
Okay.
But she was, Caucasian.
We're definitely happy to have you on board and just get your input on everything. I'm going to definitely share Dandada's information with you, because he got really excited about this. I think he ended up leaving.
He had to leave.
But yeah, he had to. Yeah, I'm definitely going to share his information with you so we can talk a little bit more. Someone said they saw an entire house shipped on a truck in Canarsie. That is crazy.
You can move whole homes.
But like Canarsie, you could barely find parking in Canarsie. How are you shipping prefabricated homes. My gosh, did they have to block off the streets? Yeah, he said, yeah, like 3 or 4 trucks being escorted by police. Yeah, like that's a damn.
Yes.
That's like it's
You
dense
see
there.
that going when you're in Florida, you see that a lot. At least where I was in Florida, I saw it a lot.
Okay. Now, well, being that like being on the African continent and working in potentially, well, definitely probably a hot environment, not necessarily humid. And we talked about the windows that's more energy efficient. What about building materials? Anything that would hinder us or help us in terms of an environment like that?
The heat, no, I don't think it's going to hinder or help, hurt at all.
Oh, like materials, like working with the materials in that kind of that environment, like whether if it gets humid or too
It,
humid
mm,
or really hot or like dry heat or I guess I'm thinking of like how the houses in the desert are so much different than the houses like in a city.
mm-hmm.
Like do
Well,
you have different materials or
you probably would use. I don't see why the weather, um, oh, climate would have
yeah.
much effect on it. Um, because there's something you can use. You can use anything in those in the weather, in those climates.
Okay.
It's not going to harm it, or it's not going to make it or break it. It's I think it's just the treatments or whatever materials we're using has to make sense with the climate. That's it.
All right. All right. So oh, just put that is a redundant question. He's put in,
Uh-uh.
what if I told you we were putting together a team? I think he posted this on the site too.
Oh,
What if I told you we were putting together a team?
oh,
So,
the 5-man team question.
well, no, that he did do that, but I think this is referring to our members, like getting them.
Oh, okay.
In, I mean, they can start with a 5-man team. Which, if you guys didn't do that test, do it. I know you did it. It's pretty
I
fun.
It was funny.
It's fun. You guys need to do it. I came out to be the brains. Lovely. It doesn't
And why did
surprise
I
me.
end up being the hero? Like, why did I end up being the hero? That's amazing. I don't know if that had anything to do with the military in me.
No, that's awesome. The hero. I mean, that makes sense that you're the hero. But Hope came out to be the peacemaker. That was hilarious. I was like,
Yeah,
I
I
knew you
saw
had
that. I'm like, really? He's the peacemaker? But you know what? I actually believe that he could be the peacemaker only because the passion that he displays when I hear him on the podcast or what have you.
Uh-huh.
To me, you don't have that kind of passion if you don't have a great sense of peace. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I don't feel like you can have that kind of passion if you're not a peaceful person. If your heart is not in peace, like, or into or wanting to have peace in your life or in your society around you, I don't think that you can have that type of passion if you were not a peacemaker.
Exactly. That's what I said. I was like, oh, this comes as no surprise. I knew you was secretly the peacemaker.
Yes. What did he want to be? The hero?
I don't know. I don't know what he would the loner maybe. Calla says one thing I proposed was having our own labor supply and temp and staffing company. I agree with that, Calla.
I totally agree with that. I really would love for it to be something that we don't depend on anybody but our own selves for whatever we do over there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's really the goal for us to be functional. Like I want us to just be like we doing everything. We manufacture, we
Mm-hmm.
build like everything is within our control. The economy is controlled by all of us.
Yes.
So yeah, like that's definitely a must. And for the most part, everyone agrees with that too. I mean, actually, I don't know if anyone who disagrees with that. Everyone agrees with that. I could say that with confidence. But yes, any other question, guys? We're gonna end up cutting this short. We've been going for a little over an hour.
Oh, we have already?
If you didn't do it, those little quizzes put in the forum, definitely do those. The political one takes a little bit more time, but
Yes, 54
it's
questions.
and it's kind of, in my opinion, it's hard to try to not think of it as not being in as not being in America. That was the hardest
Yeah.
part, doing that damn political quiz. So you got to think of it as how would you want your
Your
nation
society.
to be?
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Those the first couple of questions on that quiz though, I struggled with them because I struggled because I felt like I was on both sides of the fence on some of those questions.
yeah,
So it's
that's
kind
what.
of hard for me to answer them. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know where I fit.
For the most, came out more leftist. Cal is the one who came out all traditional and the right wing and all that stuff. Like
Hmm.
you really had a good, hard, solid, answer for all those questions. For me,
Oh
I
wow.
didn't that passionate about like some of the questions. I was like, well, when it says how much you really care,
Right, right.
like in terms of how important it is, that's where I was just like, well, shit, this really isn't that important to me when it
Important.
comes to the important ones were all like economy based stuff,
Yeah.
and like health. So, but that right there kind of makes me somewhat biased. But yeah, definitely take those quizzes: the 5-man team quiz and the political spectrum quiz. It's interesting. The political spectrum is a little bit harder, but it's interesting. So just think of it as your future nation, not living in this current environment. That's what was hard for me, because I was like, I feel like I'm going. My
Right.
answers are being here, which I want to kind of have like an unbiased opinion on, which was hard to do.
Hmm.
But guys, everyone who joined us, thank you for joining us on this Saturday evening. Um, if you missed the conference call this past Thursday, hopefully we have another one soon. I want to say either 2 weeks, maybe less. We're going to try to make sure it gets recorded and have a little bit more function so people can get a fair chance to talk.
Okay.
Yeah, if any of you guys missed it, and I'm gonna make sure that the guys give ample times notice so you don't just know 2 hours ahead, and end up
Yeah. Yeah.
being subjected to Kala's lectures. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, no snoring, no snoring. Someone fell asleep on that phone. That was all Kala's
No.
fault. All Kala's fault. He put somebody to sleep, but it
No.
was more fun. Silent Thriller. The questionnaires are on when you go on the main page of our site, on the forum section on the top right side. But one is called Political Spectrum Quiz. The other one is the 5-man. Where do you fall in a 5-man team? Those are the 5-man team is really funny. I love that, but it's interesting to see where you fall in those.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely take a look at those and do those, especially the political spectrum. Please do that one
Yeah, that one was
and stuff.
interesting.
Yeah, so
Very
so
interesting.
so hopefully the STEM team is doing the STEM group is doing a show tomorrow.
They
I
are.
don't know what their topic. I don't know what time
Mhm.
as of yet, but we definitely got to get something for tomorrow. And I'm hoping I gave you guys some ideas or more questions. If you have them, you can ask our sister on the site,
Please.
definitely like and subscribe to her page. I put it in the description box. shedatmilitantblkbuddha. So definitely just shoot some questions by her for interior design. She is in the interior design and architecture group. And yeah, so that is it. So
Thank you
peace,
guys.
family,
Peace,
for joining
everybody.
us. All right.